Well, karma just gave Disney the swift kick in the dick that it desperately deserved. So, I talked about the first 2 episodes of this show, and I was planning to review the rest of the episodes, but I didn't for one specific reason. I didn't want to watch the rest of the show. Yeah, you're looking at a guy who managed to suffer through every single episode of The Acolyte, and couldn't stomach the last, 8 episodes of the show? Yeah. And considering these episodes are shorter than the episodes of The Acolyte, I think that tells you all you need to know. And, yeah, you all know what I thought of the first 2 episodes. They were terrible, obviously. And this is where I find fun, because everybody has been talking about what a big masterpiece this show is, because of fucking course they are, because all the garbage that gets put out now is claimed as masterpieces, while anything good gets shit on by the internet. That's, I guess, how stuff works nowadays. But this I find extremely funny, as even though everybody's talking about how great this show is, it's clear that nobody wants to watch it. Because it couldn't even make the Nielsen ratings the entire run. And if you don't know what the Nielsen ratings are, basically it's the 10... It's basically a ranking of of what's on streaming services by how much they were viewed. Mostly it's weekly, but I think you can set it for like monthly or something. I don't know. But mainly it's a site that posts what the most viewed things on streaming were every week. And it has different sections as well, whether it's just TV shows, whether it's originals, movies, and everything. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. And this could never make the ratings, which tells me that it was not being watched. And this is funny because and the same thing happened with, and I'm sure Disney will try to spin this and say that it was actually a massive hit, because that's what they did with that god-awful Percy Jackson show. Remember where I debunked those numbers because it also did not make the Nielsen ratings in any of the filters? So there was absolutely no way the numbers they were spinning were actually the right ones. So yeah, they're probably going to do the same thing. And they've done it for all their shows. They tried to convince people The Acolyte was a hit before they realized, well shit, no it wasn't, and they just canceled it immediately. And I know they've already got, Season 2, being worked on for this. But I don't think the show's gonna make it past that. And the same thing's probably gonna happen with Percy Jackson. I want to bring that up quick, because I know they renewed it for Season 3, but considering the first season, again, couldn't make the Nielsen ratings, so people could tell the numbers they were spinning were not true, even less people are gonna watch Season 2. And just because the season is renewed, doesn't mean it's actually gonna happen. And even if it does, it'll probably go the route of Velma Season 2, or Rings of Power Season 2, where nobody watches it and it comes and goes like a fart in the wind. And that's really what's happening to this show, because honestly, nobody's talking about this show, except for obviously the shows online that they're even trying to spin it as the greatest Spider-Man animated show, even better than ones like the 90s show or Spectacular Spider-Man, or the ones that were actually good. And that is just outright disrespectful to those other shows, because this thing is trash. Nobody wanted to watch this, and even if people were interested when the thing was first announced, they were clearly turned off by the trailers and all of the terrible marketing that this show had. So even if people who didn't watch the show would have liked it, again, they didn't watch it because they were turned off by the trailers, and I can't blame them. I honestly didn't want to watch the show, but I decided to give it a chance, and, well, that was a mistake, because this show did not deserve a chance. And again, I reviewed I'm not going to talk about the other episodes. I'm not going to watch the other episodes, though I will say I did read the plot synopsis for the other episodes, so I know what happens, and yeah, I think skipping it was the right move, because none of it sounds enticing. All of this just shits on the comics. They didn't even try to adapt the comics. Even one of the most famous aspects of Peter Parker is that he's an underdog who gets bullied in high school. That's gone. That is 100% gone because for some reason everybody likes him at the school. Well, I mean some reason, not because he's an asshole and people shouldn't like him, but even the Andrew Garfield version who could kind of stand up for himself and tried to stand up to others was still bullied in that. And even the watered down version in the MCU, as far as like it was less physical bullying and kind of like intellectual bullying by the weenie-ass Flash Thompson in that one. I don't know, but it was still there. And then you had that dweeb from Far From Home that was basically what Flash should have been. So, most of the core aspects of Spider-Man in this show are gone. Most of the characters are either C-list characters that nobody gives a shit about, or they're characters that people recognize but bastardized in one way or another, like Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn and Curtis Connors, who was gender and race swapped. Harry Osborn was race swapped and looked like the most stereotypical gay black guy you could find. And Gwen Stacy is apparently going to be Spider-Gwen in the next season, and I already made fun of that in a post, and the design looks like garbage, too. And most of the other major characters from Spider-Man's lore are gone. Again, no Flash Thompson, no Mary Jane Watson, no anybody else. Again, other than Harry Osborn, but from what I can tell, he's barely in the show, and again, it's a bastardized version of the character who doesn't even resemble the character. This show was just a watered-down Zoomer version of Spider-Man that nobody wanted, and I don't think anybody actually liked, except for, again, the Zoomer shills who act like this is the greatest animated Spider-Man show ever made, and that just is deeply disrespectful to every other incarnation of this character, really. I'd honestly rather watch Spider-Man 3 than this. And you're talking to someone who is probably the #1 hater of Spider-Man 3. I would watch any other Spider-Man adaptation over this. I even said I might owe an apology to Marvel Spider-Man, the animated series, because I hated that. That was another one that just kind of shit all over the source material. I might have to get that another shot. You know, maybe I'll watch, like, season 1 and then talk about it and see if it's actually better than this. So that's all I got. Continue to laugh at Disney's failures, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.